Written over 2,400 years ago, The Republic by Plato remains one of the most influential works in the history of human thought. It is not merely a book about politics. It is a profound exploration of truth, justice, morality, and the human soul. Through the voice of his teacher Socrates, Plato examines how individuals and societies can achieve harmony and virtue, and what it means to live a truly just life. The book takes the form of a dialogue, a conversation between Socrates and various Athenians who challenge and refine one another's ideas. It begins with a simple question, what is justice? And evolves into a sweeping vision of an ideal society governed by wisdom and reason. Plato uses this imagined city, the Kallipolis, as a metaphor for the human soul. Each part must perform its proper role, guided by wisdom, for both the person and the state to flourish. More than a treatise on government, the Republic is a mirror held up to the human condition. It invites readers to question the nature of truth, the purpose of education, and the moral responsibilities of leadership. Even today, in a world full of distractions, illusions, and moral uncertainty, Plato's call for a life ruled by knowledge, virtue, and inner balance feels as urgent as ever. Section 1. The central question: what is justice? At the heart of the Republic lies a single question: what is justice? Plato, through Socrates, does not treat this as an abstract or legal matter. He sees justice as the foundation of both the good life and the good society. The dialogue begins with Socrates engaging in conversation with Cephalus, Polemarchus, and Thrasymachus, three men who each represent different common views of justice. Cephalus, the elderly merchant, believes justice means honesty and paying one's debts. Polemarchus expands on this, claiming justice means helping one's friends and harming one's enemies. But Socrates quickly dismantles these definitions, showing they depend too much on circumstance and bias. Then comes Thrasymachus, the bold sophist, who argues that justice is nothing more than the advantage of the stronger, that rulers make laws to serve their own interests. This cynical view mirrors much of what we still see in modern politics, the idea that power defines morality. Socrates rejects this. He insists that true justice cannot be based on dominance or self-interest. Instead, justice must be something that brings order and harmony, both within the individual soul and within society. Just as a well-tuned instrument produces beautiful music only when each string plays its proper part, a just society exists when every person fulfills their natural role in balance with others. Plato's message is subtle but revolutionary. Justice is not simply obeying laws or serving rulers. It is living in accordance with truth, reason, and balance. Section 2. The ideal state. To understand justice on a larger scale, Plato imagines constructing a perfect city, a thought experiment that reveals how justice might look when magnified from the individual to society. This city, called the Kallipolis, becomes a model of order, wisdom, and virtue. Plato divides this ideal state into three distinct classes, each representing a different part of the human soul. The rulers, reason. The philosophers, guided by wisdom and truth, are the only ones fit to govern. They are not driven by wealth or power, but by knowledge of the good, the highest form of truth. The guardians, spirit, the soldiers and protectors of the city. They embody courage, discipline, and loyalty, defending the state and upholding the ruler's just decisions. The producers, appetite. The farmers, merchants, and artisans. They provide for the material needs of society and ensure stability through their labor. Each class mirrors an aspect of the soul, reason, spirit, and desire, and justice, both in the city and the soul, is achieved when every part performs its role without interfering with the others. When reason governs, spirit supports, and desire obeys, harmony prevails. At the top stands the philosopher king, a ruler who has transcended personal ambition to grasp the form of the good, the ultimate truth that illuminates all wisdom. Plato argues that until philosophers become kings, or kings become true philosophers, societies will remain trapped in ignorance and corruption. Through this vision, Plato paints not a political utopia, but a moral ideal. A world where leadership is based on virtue and knowledge rather than wealth, and where justice is the natural outcome of a well-ordered soul reflected in a well-ordered state. Section 3. The Allegory of the Cave. Among all the ideas in the Republic, none is more famous or more powerful than the allegory of the cave. In this timeless metaphor, Plato reveals his vision of the human condition and the journey from ignorance to enlightenment. He asks us to imagine a group of people who have lived chained inside a dark cave since birth. They face a wall, and behind them burns a fire. Between the fire and the prisoners, objects are carried by others, casting shadows on the wall. The prisoners, never having seen anything else, believe these shadows are reality. Then, one prisoner is freed. At first, he is blinded by the light and resists the truth. It is painful to see beyond the familiar illusions. But as his eyes adjust, he begins to perceive the real world, the sun, the trees, the vastness of existence. He realizes that everything he once believed was merely a shadow of the truth. When he returns to the cave to share what he has discovered, the others mock him and refuse to believe. They prefer the comfort of their illusions to the pain of awakening. For Plato, this allegory represents the journey of the soul from ignorance to knowledge. The cave is the world of appearances. The sunlight symbolizes truth and the form of the good. Education, therefore, is not about filling the mind with facts. It is about turning the soul toward the light. In modern terms, Plato warns us that most people live surrounded by illusions, social beliefs, media narratives, ego, and habit. To seek truth is to escape the cave, to question, to think, and to see beyond appearances. True enlightenment demands courage, humility, and a willingness to face the light. Section 4. The Tripartite Soul. Plato believed that understanding justice within society begins with understanding justice within the individual. To explain this, he introduces the concept of the tripartite soul, the idea that every human being is made up of three distinct parts, each with its own nature and purpose. Reason, the rational part. This is the thinking, reflective part of the soul that seeks truth and wisdom. It aims for what is good, not just what feels good. Spirit, the spirited part, the seat of courage, ambition, and moral strength. It drives us to act, to defend what we believe in, and to pursue honor and integrity. Desire, the appetitive part, the source of our physical and material cravings, food, pleasure, wealth, and comfort. It is powerful, but must be controlled. Justice, in Plato's view, arises when these three parts are in harmony. When reason rules, spirit supports, and desire obeys. Injustice occurs when the lower parts dominate, when emotion or appetite overpowers reason. This inner balance mirrors the structure of the ideal state. Reason corresponds to the rulers, philosophers, spirit to the guardians, warriors, and desire to the producers, workers. Just as the just city thrives when each class performs its rightful role, the just person thrives when the rational mind governs the whole being. Plato's message is deeply psychological and timeless. The greatest victory is self-mastery. Section 5. Education and the Path to Wisdom. For Plato, education is the soul's ascent toward truth, not the memorization of facts, but the awakening of understanding. He believed that knowledge already exists within us, and true learning is a process of remembering what the soul already knows. In the Republic, education plays a crucial role in shaping both the individual soul and the ideal state. Plato describes a structured path designed to purify the mind and lead it from ignorance to enlightenment. The early stages focus on music and gymnastics, meant to balance the emotional and physical aspects of the self. Music cultivates harmony in the spirit, while physical training builds discipline and courage. As students mature, they are introduced to mathematics, geometry, and logic, not for practical use, but to train the mind to think abstractly and pursue truth beyond the senses. Only a few, those with exceptional wisdom and virtue, advance to the study of philosophy, where they confront the highest reality, the form of the good, the source of all truth and beauty. This rigorous education produces the philosopher king, the one who sees beyond illusion and leads not for power, but for the common good. Plato insists that those who rule must do so reluctantly, out of duty, not ambition, because only those who truly know what is good can create a just society. Ultimately, Plato saw education as liberation. It is the journey out of the cave, the gradual turning of the soul toward the light. In this vision, wisdom is not granted. It is earned through years of discipline, humility, and the love of truth. Section 6. The Decline of States and Souls. Plato understood that just as the soul can fall into disorder, so too can societies decay when wisdom is no longer their guiding principle. In the Republic, he describes a cycle of decline, how the ideal state, the Callipolis, gradually deteriorates into corruption and chaos when each class abandons its true nature. The process begins with the aristocracy, the rule of the wise, the most just form of government. Over time, this wisdom is lost and ambition takes its place, giving rise to timocracy, the rule of the courageous and honor-driven. This stage values discipline and glory, but gradually, pride and the hunger for recognition overshadow virtue. Next comes oligarchy, where wealth becomes the measure of worth. The rich dominate, and the poor are silenced. The city grows divided, and the soul mirrors that division. Reason grows weak under the weight of greed. When the poor rise against the few, democracy is born. Here, freedom is celebrated above all else, but without moral direction, that freedom decays into disorder. People live only for pleasure and self-interest, rejecting all restraint. Finally, from the chaos of democracy emerges tyranny, the darkest form of rule. A single man rises, promising to protect the people, but enslaves them instead. The tyrant soul, ruled entirely by desire, mirrors the most unjust and chaotic state of all. Through this sequence, Plato warns that the fate of a state reflects the character of its citizens. When individuals lose self-control and moral purpose, societies inevitably fall into decay. The only safeguard against corruption both personal and political, is the rule of reason guided by truth. Section 7. The Theory of Forms. At the heart of Plato's philosophy lies his most famous and profound idea, the theory of forms. To truly understand the Republic, we must understand this concept, because it is the foundation of his vision of truth, knowledge, and the good. Plato believed that everything we see in the physical world is merely a shadow or imitation of a higher, unchanging reality. The world around us is constantly shifting. Beauty fades, objects break, opinions differ. But behind these imperfect copies exists a world of eternal forms, or ideas, which are perfect and unchanging. For example, all beautiful things in the world are beautiful because they participate in the form of beauty. All just acts are just because they reflect the form of justice. Everything good derives its goodness from the form of the good, the highest and most divine of all forms. The form of the good is the ultimate truth. It is to the mind what the sun is to the eye. It illuminates everything and makes knowledge possible. Just as we cannot see anything without light, we cannot understand anything without the good. This theory connects deeply with the allegory of the cave. The shadows on the wall represent the physical world, while the light of the sun represents the world of forms. Only the philosopher, who turns his soul toward this light, can grasp true reality. In practical terms, Plato is telling us that wisdom means seeing beyond appearances, understanding the invisible principles that shape reality. The more one aligns with the world of forms, with truth, goodness, and beauty, the closer one comes to the divine order that sustains all things. Section 8. Key Lessons and Takeaways. Plato's The Republic is far more than a dialogue about politics. It's a timeless guide to understanding the human soul, the nature of truth, and the foundation of a just life. Though written in ancient Greece, its lessons echo powerfully across every age. Here are the core ideas and takeaways. Justice begins within the individual. A just society can only exist when individuals are in harmony with themselves, when reason governs desire and spirit. Personal integrity is the foundation of collective virtue. Wisdom, not power, should guide leadership. Plato's philosopher king symbolizes the principle that those who rule must seek truth, not self-interest. The wise lead not because they desire power, but because they understand what is truly good. Knowledge is liberation. The allegory of the cave reminds us that most people live imprisoned by illusions, habits, beliefs, and fears. Education is the process of turning the soul toward the light, away from ignorance. Disorder in the soul mirrors disorder in society. When reason loses control within individuals, chaos follows in the world around them. Plato teaches that social harmony depends on inner discipline. Truth is higher than opinion. Plato's theory of forms calls us to seek what is eternal, to look beyond appearances and understand the deeper reality behind things. Freedom without wisdom leads to chaos. Plato warns that when people misuse freedom, chasing pleasure without virtue, democracy can decay into tyranny. True freedom requires self-control and purpose. The ultimate goal is to know the good. All knowledge, all virtue, and all justice flow from understanding the good, the source of truth, and the highest aim of human life. In essence, the Republic invites us to transform ourselves first, to become philosophers in our own right, guided by truth and reason. A better world, Plato reminds us, begins not in politics but in the discipline of the soul. Closing reflection. Plato's The Republic remains a masterpiece, not because it offers a perfect political system, but because it asks the most important question of all: what does it mean to live rightly? Beneath its talk of rulers, guardians, and philosophers lies a message that transcends time, that justice, truth, and harmony begin within each of us. Plato's ideal city is a metaphor for the human being. When our thoughts, reason, actions, spirit, and desires, appetite, work together under the guidance of wisdom, we create inner order, and through that, a better world. More than 2 millennia later, the same struggle continues. We live surrounded by noise, illusion, and the shadows on the wall, mistaking opinion for knowledge and freedom for indulgence. Plato's call is simple yet radical. Turn toward the light. Seek truth even when it's uncomfortable. Discipline the self before judging others, and measure success not by power or wealth, but by clarity of soul. In every age, the true philosopher is not the one who reads the Republic, but the one who lives it. Download this summary in high-quality MP3 format at MindShelf.net. For more timeless book summaries on spiritual growth, psychology, self-improvement, and the art of living wisely, subscribe to MindShelf on YouTube and keep expanding your inner library of wisdom. Grow in awareness. Live in balance. This is MindShelf.